Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday. It is I ready to rock and roll on the coffee run this morning. Fine Friday. So first and foremost, it is Happy Friday, and it's always time to celebrate, to check in, to pat yourself on the back with the things that you've done really well this week. Pat yourself on the back for the things that you're really proud of. Good morning, Tamara. As well as really celebrating something that somebody else that you have noticed has done really, really well. So we always start off with circle of love. So I thought that we'd kind of get into that first and foremost. Good morning, Catherine. So something I'm really proud of this week is being able to be really clear on, kind of, I guess, what I'm really willing to do this year. The way that I'm kind of letting it all just hang out, so to speak. And it's really interesting. So in the spirit of transparency, I send a lot of emails out to people and things like that. And this week, hey, Georgina, Tamara said I'm on the couch in my PJs with coffee. Yay! I'm in my chair with coffee. I just also happen to be on camera. And I don't always, every email that I send out doesn't always get loads of responses and stuff like that. But as you know, this week I've shared different thoughts, different ideas, different kind of styles. I've been writing a lot this week, practicing on enunciating my words really well. And it's had some really unexpected and really great responses, which has been really cool, actually. I have been, sharing probably a little bit more, hey, Kim, about my thinking. Oh my God, the cat's really noisy. The kittens aren't in here. They're not in here. You have to go find them somewhere else. So just as a completely different aside, I've got a really weird connection with a cat that we rescued, right? Completely different aside. And she comes in and she talks to me. So right now she came to the door in the office and she's like, where are my kittens? Like, have you ever heard the different noises that cats make? I never knew that they did anything except meow. And this cat is just like, caw, caw, caw. It's really, really strange. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So, having responses from different people that I haven't heard from in a long time, which has been really great. And it's also been really quite cathartic, actually, for me. So I guess the reason that I wanted to share that is that it's really important. As you know, I shared some stuff yesterday that I don't really talk about particularly very often at all around a previous relationship that I was in that was really violent and stuff like that. And I guess like the question that I get a lot, whether it's in events or whether it's from clients and even via email and messenger and stuff, it's like, well, what stories do I share? How much do I share and things like that. So here's some guideposts for you, I guess. Number one, authenticity is appreciated, Tamara. You're absolutely right. People like to know that even if on the outside everything looks great, it might look like you're crushing it, it might look like you're absolutely smashing it out, killing it, doing whatever the vernacular is that you use. They also like to know that you're human, right? And that you're real, and that this, perhaps perceived overnight success isn't actually an overnight success. And the reason for that is they want to be able to see themselves in you. So an example of this, every mentor I work with, I always see bits of me in them. I know that might not kind of make sense, but it will. So there's parts of their either experience or there's parts of their stories that they share and tell that I'm just like, yeah, I can see that they get me, right? So that's more what it's about. See, here's a kitten. It's more about, yes, they get me, they'll understand. They're not going to think they will think I'm batshit crazy, but they will get me, they will understand me. And so with the stories that you share, that same thing will happen with your people. They want to be able to see themselves in you. They want to know as much as they can through marketing, through lives, through emails, through blogs, through podcasts, through all of that, that there is something in their life that you're talking about or that you've experienced that they can then help you with, right? I trust that makes sense. I think I got the wrong way around, but you know what I'm trying to say. So with that, I guess the next part about that is like, okay, cool, but what stories do I share? Well, you share the stories that you need to share in order to perhaps highlight a point or demonstrate a point or confirm something or whatever. But here's the thing. Hey, Ash. Oh my gosh, you got to come here. No, he's a little scaredy cat. So funny. I was going to show you this little kitten that we've rescued. He's just the cutest thing on 4 legs. And, okay, so the stories that you share, you don't share them when you're working through the thing. And this is the piece about vulnerability that people screw up in their marketing. If you have literally just experienced something that's not particularly good and you're still kind of sifting through the junk and the crud and the residue and whatever it has, based on whatever it is that's going on, it's actually really inappropriate for you to share, in my opinion. It's really inappropriate for you to kind of share with the general public, we'll say. So we're talking about in your marketing and in digital marketing. Inappropriate to kind of share the stuff while it's going on, right? You really shouldn't share your stories around anything like that until you've got something that you can direct people to. We say, look, this is what, the story that I shared yesterday was around the DV history. And it was, the reason that I shared it was it demonstrated a point that I was talking about, choice. I was really hammering on home choice. And some people are like, yeah, but I don't really have a choice. And it's like, well, actually, you've always got a choice. You might not like the consequences of particular choices, but you've always got a choice with absolutely everything. So it was appropriate, because I felt like back then I didn't feel like I had a choice. Like I really felt like I was freaking stuck. I was stuck financially. I was stuck emotionally. I was isolated. Blah 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 blah. All the stuff that goes along with all of that. So that story, it almost feels like it was because it was so long ago, it almost feels like it happened to another person, I'm not the same person I was back then, but do you know what I mean? I'm guessing that you understand what I'm saying here. So you shouldn't really share the stories until you sort of work through, because your audience is not your therapist. Your audience is not your coach. Your audience should not be your sounding board. Your audience are looking to you for leadership. They're looking to you for steps forward. Hey, Carol, they're looking to you for advice. And if you're still in a world of pain, then the advice that you might give them is kind of skewed. If you haven't worked it out yet, then you really shouldn't be sharing. So that's that. And I think it's a really big topic, particularly for coaches and mentors, consultants, trainers, that type of thing. Because if you haven't worked through your shit in a particular subject or a particular topic, then you really shouldn't be sharing the stories that are around that, or the experience perhaps that you're going through. So just be really mindful of that. The other part about stories that I thought that I would share with you is that it doesn't always need to be your stories that you share, right? Shock horror, right? It's not always your stories that you need to share. You might have heard someone else tell a story and they were about an example that they gave or an experience that they went through or something like that. So long as you're crediting it, or you're saying, look, this didn't happen to me, however, I saw this happen and it was kind of similar to something that I've worked through. This is something that I think is super, super important. So you could almost use it as a bit like a case study, I suppose. And then the other thing that you want to be able to share in your stories, if you can, is a metaphor or a analogy. So the way that you can segue into that as well, it's a little bit like, or if you've ever been in this situation, it's kind of like this, right? So you can help people form the picture and join the dots with whatever it is that you're talking about in order to help them go, oh yeah, I can see what you mean by that, right? So the story, the reason we want to share stories is, number one, to help you seem human because you are, to help you feel real and relatable. People buy from people, humans buy from humans. And if you're not willing, whether you're in a one-man band, whether you have your own practice, whether you've got a big organization, it doesn't really matter. People buy from people. People don't buy from the internet. They buy from, particularly if we're talking about high ticket sales and stuff like that, they buy from people that they feel like they've got a connection with, or a company that they feel like they've got a connection with. For the most part, like, I'm not talking about going into a supermarket. I don't care who's on the counter. I don't care who the CEO is, right? But, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about when you're selling essentially you're selling your services, your consulting, your training, your mentoring, your programs, your services, whatever it is. So that's that for today. Share your stories, just not while you're kind of knee deep in working through the way out of the mud and the quagmire. All right. Awesome. If you've got any questions about that, let me know. We'll be talking about stories in visible expansion as well. That closes on Sunday night. There's 3 days left if you haven't registered yet. So make sure you get onto that if that's something that you are curious about. The link's all over the place. You'll be able to find it. I'll post it in after the live as well. So share with me, share with us, share with all the people in here what it is that you are really proud of this week. What's something that you have just been, that was really freaking amazing. It might be the fact that you exercised for the first time this year. It might be that you've started a blog. It might be that you've planned out your year. It might be that you did a Facebook Live for the first time. Whatever it is, what are you really proud of this week? It could just be that you got out of bed before 7. That was me this morning. Could be anything. I don't know. What is it for you? The second thing is, what is been the best, most awesomest thing that's happened this week for you? And then the third thing, because, hashtag circle of love, the third thing is, what have you noticed in someone else this week? Whether it's a competitor, a peer, a family member, or a friend, some random stranger, whatever. What is something that you have noticed that somebody's done really, really well? What I've noticed on that third point, what I've noticed this week, and I mentioned her earlier on this week, Samantha Wills. So she's the jewelry girl. That kind of plays down her achievements, actually. But anyway, so if you don't follow her on Instagram, go have a look on Instagram. I'm not sure if she's putting stuff out on Facebook. She probably is, but I haven't seen it on there. They're officially closed as of today. They announced it in June that today would be the final day. And the way that she's telling stories is really amazing. The way that she is writing is really amazing. It invokes a whole lot of emotion. It really tells the story of the way from the inception of the brand right the way through. I think she's been in business maybe for 14 years. I think I might have that right. I might have that number wrong. And what I've noticed is that it looks really great, like the way that she's talking about it. So I really admire the way that she's been able to share the story. And I think that there is not enough sharing around that, to be honest. I think, we all want to look and appear successful and brilliant and like we've always got it together and we're always crushing it and we're always this and we're always that. Yet the reality of what's actually going on behind closed doors doesn't always match the facade on the front. So I think it's really interesting for me to kind of watch Samantha Wills and the way that she's communicating with her audience. And then the other thing that's really interesting is seeing the support that she's getting for being so vulnerable. The way that people are engaging and interacting with her stuff is really inspiring. So if you don't follow her on Instagram, go follow her on Instagram. I think it's Sarah Wills Official, I think, was the profile. I can't check because we're on my phone, so I can't confirm that for you, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was. So huge shout out to her and kudos to her this week for sharing what she has been. So there you go, guys. Have a really awesome Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's Friday. I'm really working part of the day today. Don't know what's going to go on this weekend, but I'm really excited for it. Can't wait to talk with you all at some point in time, either later on today or tomorrow or Sunday or definitely Monday, if not beforehand. Have a great day. Can't wait to hear your celebrations. Take care. Get out there, help some people, and get visible.